What is going on, man? I don't know what the hell going on with these slow jams, y'all. My bad. I ain't mean to do that, y'all. Let's stop the music right now. My bad. I don't know what was going on, man. It just started playing R&B out of
Hey,
nowhere.
I don't
What's
mind it.
going
I
on?
don't mind it.
It was smooth. It was just, I had the little dee ding ding. Do-do-do-dum, do-do-do-do-do-do-do. It had a nice little beat going. Then we got to R&B. It just threw it off. You know what I'm saying? What's going on? It's your boy Nick Moses 05. I'm here with my co-host, my man, Dr. Specimen. How are you doing today, sir?
Oh, not too bad. Back from
That's
a
good.
long fucking day at work.
Man, I know how it is, those hard work days. Hopefully, you were able to go through that day well. No one getting on your nerves.
No, not really. Not really.
Okay. Okay. Could have been crazy, God bless. Glad you're okay. Glad for everybody, who can tune in. If you're tuning in later, that's fine as well. Hope everybody has a blessed day. If you ain't nobody thinking about you, Mo fam thinking about you, man. All right. Take that. And also nickmoses05.com. We got merch up there. We're trying to put some more merch up there. And there's some other stuff, you know what I mean? But nonetheless, man, you know what we hear about, man. This is like, yo, Dr. Specimen, man, we've been swamped in so much of Nintendo Switch stuff that we've just finally got something else, man. And this has been something that's been happening for days now. I know everybody's been, where have I been now? You, Dr. Specimen, have seen me. My jaw was like out to here, like I was chewing Big League Chew. You know
Looking
what I
like a
mean? Man,
fucking squirrel in the one cheek.
yeah, it was terrible, man. I wasn't going to come on, and no need to put myself through that. Right, so I said we're gonna hold it off, and we're still gonna do another stream to cover up a lot of other things with that. But this right here is strictly about Microsoft and Xbox. Now, before we talk about this hack, Dr. Specimen, between me and you, how many times have we, just in the podcast alone throughout the years, talked about Microsoft and its security and how they have been so successful to not be hacked and one of the best? Have you not said that?
Oh, 100%. And I mean, I even still stand by that because if you think about it, how many people are going to actually take their daily driver Xbox One, One S, One X, Series S, Series X, and figure out that this all has happened, run to the store, grab the free GameScript app that was necessary for this, and if you want the other part of this, which I don't know much about, and I unfortunately missed out,
Yeah.
I'm grabbing Hammer. What was the full name of that game?
Vermintide.
Vermintide, yeah, Warhammer
Vermintide.
Vermintide 2. Right, you're gonna go out and buy that game for $30, get the GameScript app, take your Xbox offline, and then wait a month for something more interesting to come out. Because as it stands right now, there's not much you can do. I will do a demo for y'all, but there's not a whole lot you can do yet. But keep in mind, by the way, Microsoft's already shut this down.
Yeah. Now let's go ahead and talk about maybe the hack itself first, and then we'll talk about how Microsoft shut it down. So, a lot of people have covered it. We have not covered it, and maybe we don't have to go through the whole rigmarole, right? Because everybody has already went through a lot of things. Um, how would you say the best way to sum it up? I would say that the best way to sum it all up would be that we finally have a hack for the Xbox that we knew was a short period of time before it was going to be patched. And I believe, how long would you say the time was? If we had to say the time, do you have the exact time it took for Microsoft to patch this damn thing?
2 or 3 days, I want to say.
Okay, 2 or 3 days. That is pretty good. I think it's pretty good. If anybody else don't think so, I think so. But 2 3 days. Now we spoke about
Well,
a patch
mm,
for the Windows version, which happened earlier.
Well, and that was what I was going to say because what I said was kind of misleading if you think about it because this patch, because of the nature of the Xbox and the fact that it basically runs Windows or at least a modified version of the NT kernel, this exploit is not just something that affects Xbox, it technically does affect Windows. And so this is important to Microsoft. This isn't just important to Microsoft because oh no, our console finally got hacked. This is important to Microsoft in any way that any kind of arbitrary code execution bug that affects Windows would be dangerous. And so that's something that Microsoft had to focus on. So what it looked like happened was when Microsoft found out about this, they actually put their initial effort into patching Windows itself before they patched the Xbox operating system, which is different enough. You can't just immediately backport a Windows update to
Yeah.
Xbox. You actually have to do some stuff to it.
And I totally understand that. For me, I understand that. You know
Now,
what I
but
mean?
here's the thing, though. Ironically, that update is not what has stopped this. What has stopped this is the fact that Microsoft has just revoked the license, like as of like a couple hours ago, revoked the license of the game script app. So if your console is online as of this moment and you have not downloaded this app, you cannot download it. If you have downloaded the app and you have not taken your console offline, I'm not sure if your console, if it's in standby mode, if it can survive, but basically, if your console had this downloaded, you had the license and everything saved to your system, if you went back online, it got revoked from you, which now we could have a long discussion about the ethics of that because I think it's bullshit that Microsoft can do. Y'all let that piece of shit on there. If someone downloaded it, you let them fucking keep it. You don't take what they
Exactly.
downloaded.
And say
That's
you can't play it. That's
some
exactly what the
dystopian bullshit.
whole argument of why we don't want to have digital games. That's kind of the whole stance, right? Like that is the stance right there. At any point, snap of a finger. You don't
Oh,
have
but
it.
it's a security risk. Well, why'd you let it on the fucking marketplace? I don't care if it's a security risk. I downloaded it. Well, actually, you're the security risk. Yep, and that's why console gaming should fucking die.
Yo,
There's my hot take.
now I want to go through a couple things because there's going to be a lot of things that people might ask, and these questions you may have the answers to. So let's go ahead and play through some of these questions for people so we can inform a lot of people. So let's say I am someone who found out about this late, but I did not update my Xbox. My Xbox is still offline, right? It's somewhere in my garage. I don't want to hook it up to update it. Is there a possibility where I would be able to do this mod at some point based on maybe an offline update? Now, I know there's specifics that are needed right now, but is there something in the future that could happen where someone could pull it out the garage and possibly still be able to mod if they just wait long enough and wait it out? There might be something else to come from this.
Unfortunately, I would say that's about as likely as just any other old mod coming along. I think because this, as far as I'm aware, completely hinges on having access to that game script app. And the fact that Microsoft has taken it away, that's the be all end all. I mean, sure, maybe people didn't care to find it, to, look for an entry point and they wanted someone else to do it. And now that there's this entry point, maybe there's going to be someone out there who was able to get this app installed and they're going to pile through and they're going to find out, oh, hey, now that there's an entry point, we can look deeper into this. I found 12 other exploits and, all this requires is a thumbtack and old fucking Xbox 360 controller. I don't know. Okay, cool. Now there's something. But really, what so here's what's so scuffed about this whole thing.
All right, let's go.
There's actually two. So like I said earlier, there's two completely separate parts to this. One part requires this game script app. One part requires having you remember the name. What was it?
Talking about Vermintide 2?
Vermintide 2. Yeah. One requires a particular game. Now, my guess is that this is a one. It's they're not completely dependent. It's sort of a 1-2 thing, where you chain load something through the game script app in order to run it through Vermintide or whatever game. Because I've been told that there's other games, including disc-based games, that will be compatible with this. So it's not just about having one or the other. But the problem is having one of these games apparently significantly improves the experience. It gets you access to even more than just having this app. Now, personally, and I haven't gotten a response to this, I asked the owner of consolemods.org on Twitter. I asked him, like,
Shout out.
he had mentioned to me that disc-based games, that there would be disc-based games that would be compatible with this. But my issue with that is pretty much every single uh, Xbox game requires um, online access in order to download some update. And so I don't see why it matters that you can get a disc based game when really all Xbox One discs are physical license keys and nothing more. Now, I could be wrong about that because I didn't really own any small games on disc. All the games I owned on disc were, multiple gigabytes. So maybe it's possible that there's like, I don't know, maybe Crash Team Racing. I don't know how big that game is, but maybe, I don't know, Crash Team Racing. That's a game that's small enough that you'd be able to just download it or install it straight off the disc, no problem. But I don't know. I'm gonna hold my breath. I know normally I say I'm not gonna hold my breath. I will hold my breath on this because I don't feel like they make a point of that unless there were games that existed that you would be able to just use disc based. And you know what? I'll buy one of them because I bought Vermintide, but I was at work, so I didn't have time to install it. By the time I got home and realized I wasn't going to be able to install it because going online would deactivate the GameScript app, I was able to get a full refund. So what I can probably do is when one of these new games gets announced and they're like, hey, you can get this game and it's disc based and it's only 500 megabytes, you can get it. It installs off the disc, so even if you're offline, you're fine. Fine, I can buy it for $20 on eBay or whatever, or if I do it quick enough and don't wait until scalpers put it up to $3,000 and a $500 shipping fee, all will be good. But what I will say, this whole experience has reminded me of two previous milestones in two separate console hacking scenes. Switch and 3DS. Why? Switch because, well, I'll save that. It's the demo that they've released to show the proof of concept, very similar to the rocket payload that was out when TCG got announced.
Right.
But then also 3DS because y'all remember Cubic Ninja? I rest my case.
Yeah, you drop it. Now, let's go ahead and play through some other scenarios because I know many people, especially on Twitter, I've been seeing a lot of different questions. And I know when people run it back, a lot of people ask these questions. So let's play through some more scenarios, all right? Let's do another one. So let's say I have my Xbox. I actually downloaded this update. I downloaded GameScript. I also have Vermintide 2, but I have never opened the GameScript app. Is there some point down the line or anything that may come to some point where it could be activated, or does that Microsoft license and hitting it the first time everything?
I believe that is an absolute requirement. They actually made a point in the original write-up about this, about like, hey, something's about to happen. Here's what you need to do to prepare. They actually say to download this app, make sure you run it. They made a big point about that. Make sure you run it. Take your system offline. Wait. I think they might have said like try our proof of concept, but wait. You just have to wait now. Now I'm lucky because I have a fat Xbox One. This thing fucking basically useless nowadays. Especially I got a Steam Deck, got my laptop and everything. So, I don't use this luckily. But the problem is for those who use their Xbox, like because keep in mind too, this works on the Series console, Series S, Series X. This works perfectly fine. So the issue is, especially for those console owners, well, what are you going to do if you actually use your console? You're going to basically have to break your console. Now, yeah, of course, you can still play on single-player games, but, I mean, who really wants to completely offline their system for something that might come in a couple weeks or months? You're unfortunately going to need to be in a very particular position to really care about this, which is a far cry from, get it because it's a game, It's a far cry from pretty much every other modding scene. Because yeah, sure, you had you have the PlayStation, which I guess is sort of similar, but the thing is, the PlayStation scene since the PS3 has been like this. This has been normal, where you have to wait for a certain update. If you're on an update and you want to get mods at some point, you just have to kind of freeze your updates until at some point something comes out, and then you get your jailbreak and whatever. But PlayStation people have kind of already been having to deal with that. They're used to that.
Facts.
Xbox people really got on the short end of the stick because original Xbox, just when a mod chip came out, a mod chip came out. It was free and clear then. 360, it took a while. You had to kind of worry about updates with DVD mods. JTAG was a bit of an issue because you had to be on the right firmware for that, and you couldn't update it, and you had to kind of be worried about that. But then once RGH came out, it didn't really matter. I mean, sure, if you wanted to play online, you had to be really careful because I guess it could detect if you had any kind of modded firmware, so you had to be really careful with stealth servers and all that. It was a pain in the ass, but you never had to have a specific firmware Xbox 360 to RGH. And if you didn't care about playing online, which what's nice about the 360 is that the overwhelming majority of the 360 games are perfectly fun to play offline, you could do it. Xbox One and Series X, you had nothing for forever. And now that we have something, you kind of have to get into this culture, which I'm not even personally used to because I've never had to deal with this, of lock into a firmware, making sure that damn thing stays offline and never updates, and never gets anything sent to it that could lock you out of the exploitable app or the exploitable firmware. And I know I've been ranting for a bit, but I just got to cap this off with Nintendo, where you never really had to worry about firmwares because for the Wii U and Wii, those got firmware updates, sure, and they would break the homebrew channel and the browser exploits and the 3DS, but never has any of those consoles gone more than a year or two at worst without some new entry point or some new method of getting your homebrew back. Even the 3DS, when they did that random patch a while ago that took out every single entry point, it was a panic moment, but within maybe a month or two, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, there were exploits back out. First for the new 3DS, those got them first, and then the old 3DS got some exploits, and everyone was back to being happy. Um,
Now, let me ask this. There, being that we're going through these scenarios, right? Give you another one. Let's say you have your Xbox One, pull your Xbox One out, bam, I got it. Oh, I heard the update drop. Oh man, hell yeah. I couldn't wait till the update drop. Boom. Got it. Ah, yeah. What they say? Game script. Oh yeah, let me get that game script. Pow. Clicked it. Got it. I opened it. Yeah, okay. It's open. I'm good. Now, let's say you have Vermintide, but you don't have Vermintide 2. And you just sad. You like, man, I missed it. Damn. I knew I should have had Vermintide 2. Do you think there would be some possibility, and you mentioned other games, but could there be a possibility that maybe you could take Vermintide 2? Let's say you have another Xbox and possibly download it on another Xbox. Let's say you already played it and opened it on another Xbox, which means you have a license for it, right? You then transfer that to your offline Xbox that you're going to mod. Technically, you still have a license because you played the game before. Does that matter, or do you think that will not work at all?
it will definitely not work. Most likely, the only way you would be transferring a game, which I don't even know if you can transfer a game between systems, would be over Wi-Fi, which maybe some DNS can come out that somehow is capable of like allowing certificates to be or like licenses to be added but not revoked. Maybe I highly doubt
I,
it though.
can't you
Um,
just? Wouldn't it be a USB drive? Wouldn't a USB drive work if you just? Because I've seen many people transfer
well,
games.
no,
You know.
because at that if you're doing it that way, it's going to be a per console license. It's not an account license. So it would say, this is not licensed for this console. Um, so that just
Okay.
that
Yeah.
sort of ends it there.
Damn. So let me give another scenario
Hey,
here. I
why
want
do
to
you
come
think
up,
the Xbox One's been so hard to hack? Microsoft
eh,
fucking knows what they're doing.
and that's why I want to come up with different scenarios, right? Because these questions have been running rampant, and we want to get to any possibility if someone could still run this hack, or because things are still developing. Matter of fact, if I go and let's see, my mouse died on me,
And here's my thing too, by the way. The only thing I care about is getting Linux running. If this ever leads to Linux running, which I that's the one thing I haven't heard people talk about, because the problem is you can run homebrew through dev mode, and
you can't.
no mainstream dev is going to acknowledge piracy. Which, for what it's worth, and this is seriously, like, this isn't me joking. This isn't me trying to shill for Microsoft. Genuinely, I don't give a shit about pirating on the Xbox One,
You
because
shilling for Microsoft, man.
uh,
Keep it real. Keep it real, man.
best case scenario I can give to Microsoft is, if I really wanted to pirate, I'd do it on PC. I'm not going to do it on this fucking, like, quite frankly, shit console. I'm sorry. I don't,
Yo,
like,
man, hold up,
in the
hold up,
in the
man. Why,
modern
first of all, man, why you disrespecting
and
Microsoft
I'd be saying the
console like
same
that?
thing about the
You know I don't.
PS4, by the way. These consoles are they're not powerful anymore. They're not worth pirating on, when you could spend the same money
Disrespectful, man.
that you would have paid originally for an
Disrespectful, man.
Xbox One or PS4 for, a good graphics card for a desktop, and you'd be playing
Disrespectful.
games significantly better
Disrespectful, man.
than
Why you doing
on the
Microsoft like that,
consoles.
man? I'm gonna tell you, I
So
never forget, man. You reminded me of this time. This guy called my Xbox a poverty system, man. He said it's a poverty box,
I didn't
and
say no, 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 no,
it
no,
felt
man.
different, man. I was hurt,
Listen, listen,
because
listen,
and
listen.
now I got a super
No,
PC, so
Nick,
I
Nick,
understand what he
Nick,
means, and
Nick,
I do
Nick.
all the good stuff.
Listen,
But that was deep,
if
man.
if
Cut deep.
if I had a Series X, I would not be saying this. I'd actually be quite excited.
I got a Series X too, you know, man.
But I have an Xbox One Fat Original. That's different.
Ah.
I'm not saying there, there's a reason why there's people like, oh, where's the piracy? Where's the piracy? Listen, we should be encouraging that, because that's not going to happen anytime soon, most likely. Number one, and number two,
And we gonna
what
die.
fucking open source dev is going to actually acknowledge that? That's not going to
Yeah.
happen.
Let's
But
dive into that. The piracy side. Let's talk about what this thing is going to be capable of. We had to guess and say right now, a month from now, where do you think the developments will take us? Now, one thing I know is things move very rapid now. It seems like in the modding scene today versus, once the exploit is out, I've seen so many people jump in and kind of take full control. From what I understand, Emma, or I'm not sure what it is at the at on Twitter, but it's putting a full write up, right? There'll be other people who will be able to understand it and might be able to make something more. Right now, I think in a month, I don't know. I would hope myself, I just want to run some cheats. Right? In a month, can a brother get some cheats, man? Can I be able to get unlimited, health? Can I be able to get infinite lives? Can I be able to do all the magic I want? Like, that's all I'm asking for. Will I be able to
personally,
get that in a month? Do you think I get that?
I think so. I mean,
I
maybe
think I
not
get
in a
that.
month, but within the year, I'd be shocked if it took more than a year.
I think I get a
For
month.
because think about it, we're talking about the x86, so people are familiar with this, and we're talking effectively Windows. Now, I think it's Universal Windows platform, but I think all that shit's out in the open. So it might take some research, might take people a little bit of time, because people are like, "Fuck, I gotta actually write UWP apps now." But theoretically, you learn to write UWP apps, which plenty of developers have done.
Yeah.
You just got to write those. The Switch, you actually have to learn the arc. I mean, it's ARM, but you got to learn the Switch architecture. You got to learn how the apps are done. There's going to be a dev kit made and all that.
True.
But really, actually, if you think about it, you get an Xbox One in dev mode, you probably could just write the apps using dev mode and then just backport them as homebrew. You
Yo,
think about
yeah.
it.
You got a point. You got a
But
total point right there.
but personally, for me, I think it would just be really cool if I could have my Xbox One as a side Linux box to, like, just have this immediate, because the Xbox operating system, it's clunky, it's slow. I don't
So
like it on the Xbox
do you
One.
think there is a possibility of custom themes? Maybe a way, a faster start, a load time, a sound when your
Oh
system
no!
starts up,
Anything getting
anything.
faster, that's a hard drive problem. You got to get that's my problem. I need to get an SSD for this. I mean that's how you get that.
Now, any startup times. I mean as far as like, let's just say your dashboard is not the same dashboard, or your startup or
You
your
would
OS
need
is not the same. Is there any changing of that?
this is not a cold boot exploit, so that wouldn't be possible. You have to boot into the regular OS and then run the exploit. Well, presumably, maybe this could change. I doubt it, but maybe this
And
could
that's
change.
okay.
But
And
most
that's mostly
likely,
where we at, like you said. And I'm glad you said it like that. And that's what I'm mostly getting to. Would it change? What are the developments as well? So I'm glad you said
and that's the thing too, is that if Linux were to come, which I don't think it will anytime soon, but if it were to come, chances are it wouldn't necessarily subvert
that. I don't think that.
any of the bloats. Like I would, if anything, I'd still be losing system resources because I'd be running the Xbox OS and then I'd be running Linux on top of it in some sort of app. But presumably, it would. I wouldn't have to deal with the navigation of the Xbox interface. It would just be navigating through the lightweight app of some Linux app. I mean, and that's the problem though, is that there's so little out about this. It really was just sort of a quick panic session of everyone download this now, something's coming, and that's all we know so far.
Now,
Uh,
now, let me ask this. And the reason I mentioned before about um, speed in the scene of things getting done, tools. We have AI, right? Does AI speed any of this up?
I don't know how you would get that running on an Xbox One.
Not
I mean, I
necessarily
don't
get it
know.
on the Xbox One, but for development, developing things or different things that you need to develop, right? Or more for, just because I wonder, with security being so tight, but we also have these tools at our disposal. Why is it that when this exploit comes, and let's say we don't know what's going to come from it, right? We have no idea, like you said. Why is it that it's too far fetched for some of the things that we've mentioned?
It's the hardware. The hardware is that of basically a 2013 PC, which
What's wrong
on
with
a
that?
hardware level, actually pretty damn secure. You know, the issue with the Switch is that it uses a bog standard mobile processor that wasn't really meant to go in a video game system and therefore didn't have, Intel levels of security added to it. This is running, or well, actually AMD levels, because this is running an AMD processor. You know, I don't think NVIDIA necessarily needs to be as hyper paranoid about security as Intel or AMD. So when you have already on the 360 security so good that is never been a soft mod. Keep in mind, there has never been a soft mod for the 360, and the only hard mods, one was able to be patched with a software update, and the other was actually fixed on the last revision of the 360 motherboard. So keep in mind, there are 360s that are completely unmoddable, and no one has found a way to mod them. People have tried, then people have not found a way.
Now let
So
me ask
how in the
this.
hell is the Xbox One or later? Because think about it. You take the Xbox Series X, there is nothing about a 2020s computer that I'm aware of. And yes, you could talk about government exploits if you want to get into that territory, but that's a whole other fucking can of worms, right? Take a 2020 PC with 2020 hardware, well, 2019 if we take into account the time it was in development. What hardware exploit exists that you could put a hardware implant in someone's system at the BIOS level, right? We're talking about the BIOS level, and spy on them. That doesn't really exist as far as I'm aware, especially when you consider the BIOSes are updatable. So let's say something did come out. Well, all Microsoft needs to do is push out an update the BIOS of the console, and there you go. That's fixed.
Now, What I'm wondering, Doctor Specimen, is because the disrespect for Microsoft is just amazing. Okay, you have shitted on Microsoft and the system in every possible way. Xbox 360 was great, right? Powerful system. Is the Xbox One not more powerful than the Xbox 360? So, and we talked about this before, and a lot of people don't know. We did talk off of here about the Nintendo Switch being the standard right now, right? For how your system should be. And anything that's not Nintendo Switch is pretty much crap. And we agree on that. All right, we can agree that is the standard. But why is it that Nintendo Switch hardware is, I mean, come on, right? What are we talking about with that hardware? How old is that hardware?
Older than 2017, number one, but number two, it's not made by somebody who is universally well versed in making CPUs. Which
Agree
now
on that.
here's the thing. Here's the thing though. Uh, the way I see it is when the exploit came out for the Nintendo Switch,
Okay.
that was, I mean, people laughed at it. I mean, the USB exploit, especially, people laughed at it because that shouldn't have happened. That was a downright cringeworthy failure on the part of NVIDIA, the Fuse Gila exploit. Now, the problem is the mod chip exploit, the glitching exploit. That's something that's it's it is the only way that you can prevent against that is by hiding certain traces, hiding certain connections to the CPU. And as far as I am aware, that's how Microsoft protected against it. That they didn't allow certain traces to be accessed at all from the system. But the problem is that adds a fuck ton of cost onto development, as far as I'm aware. And I'm presuming that if you're creating a new piece of CPU hardware, not having access to those traces make debugging the CPU a lot harder. So basically, what we're doing by doing all these glitching exploits is costing the companies a shit ton of money, whether or not we cause piracy or not, because they're going to get freaked out. They're going to logically want to prevent against it. And when they realize that it's really more of a physics issue and not an actual technological issue, and they realize that they just have to start hiding stuff from us because we can take advantage of it, it's just a lot of money that we're making them throw down the drain. So it's really making a glitching exploit is almost one of the biggest middle fingers you can get. And by the way, someone's going to be watching this and thinking I'm the biggest fucking idiot because I'm explaining this completely incorrectly. Maybe I'm not. I am not an expert in glitching attacks. So let me just make that crystal clear.
Yeah,
This is
Somebody's like,
just
what
to
the
the
fuck
best
is he
of
talking about, man?
this is just to the best of my knowledge, right? But as far as I'm aware, it's probably one of the biggest fuck yous you could give to any of these companies because it's just saying, hey, you guys left this important thing open that you may or may not have used for debugging, and we're going to abuse that now. So, haha, you have to spend time taking it away and finding some other way to debug your shit or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Neo, what up? ATI, what up? Matrix, what up? See y'all in the chat there, man. Yo, my mouse died. I don't even care. I had to grab my cord over there. I can wait a second. I ain't gotta click. You know what I'm saying? I gotta move like that. You know what I'm saying? But nonetheless, the reason I just had to mention that because all right, a couple things. I'm gonna be honest.
oh,
I'm a Microsoft fanboy, man.
Nick,
Keep it honest.
just
What's
pulled
up?
up Twitter and saw a tweet from none other than Mr. Michael Crump himself. Shout out. June Xbox One update is out. Can't confirm, but this probably patched the exploit. So
Okay.
now there's your double whammy. You can't get your game anymore because you'll update, and you can't. Well, you can't go online because it'll take away your game script, and the exploit itself is patched. So
Look, you said hi Matrix and Neo. It sound good, man. Dang, can I get it off? It sound good. When somebody listening back, they're gonna say Neo Matrix. They wouldn't know. All right? You put it in the chat. You let everybody know. You know what I mean? Now they all know. You know what I mean? You just
now, Nick,
what's up?
You think we want to show this off?
Oh, yo, go ahead. Let's do it.
All right. Let me get this bitch set up.
You
Make
know,
sure I
but the
don't.
reason I had to mention that is because the disrespect to the Microsoft, man. I'm a Microsoft fanboy. But the way you made it sound just now for about 30 minutes, as I let you spew the hatred that you just spewed for Microsoft, was disgusting. Okay? Microsoft, we finally got a hack, Dr. Specimen. I would think you would be flipping through the doors. Okay? You know how long we waited for this? Okay? You ordered that thing just for this moment right here. Just for this. Okay? And you're talking about, it's just gonna be the system. Yeah, who cares? It's gonna be a little bit. I think what about all the people that's thinking about all the happy? What about all the hope? What about the dreams? What about what's gonna come from this? There are people that are determined, passionate. What about that?
There's a difference
Does that
between
does
being a pessimist and being a realist. And I'm just trying to be a realist.
can a realist be a hater too?
Um, I think that you're. I listen. I hate when people say coping, but you're kind of coping if you're taking what I'm saying, and your first thought you
I
have is
agree.
that I'm being a
Yeah.
hater. I also just realized my HDMI was not plugged in all the way. That's why I wasn't
Yeah.
showing up.
Womp, 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 womp.
There we
There you
go.
go. Hey, yeah. For extra, is it possible to apply? Look, see, I told you a question. I see that special. This is why I ask a lot because I see a lot of these questions float out, and they're going to continue to come. And when people watch these, I want to be able to answer a lot of questions. So I'm glad ATI had that. Say, okay, if you guys have an extra Xbox One on the side, it's possible to apply the old update to an Xbox One that is not on the latest update. Now, just to go ahead and show that on screen now, I'm going to go ahead and answer that question too. But what is that you're holding for everyone so they can know what's on screen and what you're doing?
So first off, I'm gonna plug in. I got a USB cable, so I'm just gonna plug that into the Xbox real quick. Okay. So now I actually don't need to do this because the code is saved on here for some reason. I don't know why. I've been trying to get it to delete, but this is an RP2040. It's a Raspberry Pi Pico. Same chip as the Pico Fly, but this is a normal Raspberry Pi dev board. So what I've done is I've loaded some software on it that when I connect it via USB, it will dump a bunch of text. It'll act as a keyboard and dump a bunch of text, which, as you can see, has been done here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to here. I'm going to click Show Code Run window, and then I'm going to go down to Show Console window, and then I'm going to move this. I'm going to try and make this as big as I can.
You'll still be able to pop it. You know, we'll be good.
Code run.
There you go.
Run code once. So now it's going to take a solid minute to run this. It is very slow. I don't know if it's as slow on the Series X or Series S. Could just be an Xbox One thing, but just kind of got to wait.
Now, okay, if you guys have an extra Xbox One on the side, is it possible to apply the old update to an Xbox One that it's not on the latest update?
Yes,
Yep.
but you can't get the GameScript app because
There
you
we
can't
go.
connect online to get the license for it.
There we go. Thank you. You took the words out of my mouth, beat me to it. Didn't even have to say it. Thank you. But like that, I don't have an Xbox. My last Microsoft system was the original box back in the early 2000s. That was a classic one. That was one you can mod anyway. But I'm gonna finish reading. But I was just had to say it's a classic.
There we
one.
go.
All right. Nick Molded and Dead Specimen. He plugged that in there, by the way, for those who don't know. But what feature was that update claiming to add, or existing problem was it claiming to solve?
Let me see. Crump put a picture on here. It says new ways to personalize your home screen background, stay connected with a wealth of wireless networks, whatever that means, and subscription management made easy. Let me click on the link, see what that means.
Yeah, he right. ATI is not that slow on Xbox One S. I agree. I did on Xbox One S. Now, Petrix, And he said, but what feature was that update claiming to add or existing problem was it claiming to solve? By what update? Do you mean the latest update that Microsoft dropped? And if so, you might as well just say, shit, get rid of GameScript.
Now, let me make something clear too. By the way, so you see all this, and you're thinking, okay, so cool. You ran some code in an app, and they put an output. Okay, that's not an exploit. So all of this was just done by the program. But this 1337 here, the way I guess that this worked is that they did some kind of. I'm sorry, the monitor's very dirty. Um, I haven't used
You're
this thing
good.
in month
You
in
don't even.
fucking.
You can't even see it, man. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. You can't even see it's dirty, man.
But this 1337 right here was essentially I don't know, I haven't actually looked through the code too hard myself, but I guess what they did was they just did some kind of kernel manipulation, manipulated some sort of RAM values to make it read 1337 and then read it back. And so this is being not read from the script, but it's being read from some, I guess, part of RAM that is not supposed to be read from. So this isn't really as cool as it would be if, say, I don't know, it managed to kick you into YouTube or something, or it managed to take you to your home screen and start playing some sort of like chiptune music or whatever. But if you can read the code, understand the code and all that, and you see this, this is exciting and it means a lot to you.
Yeah, and for those who do not have a Raspberry Pico, guess what? You can use, well, can't anymore, but you could have used Notepad T. That was one of the apps out there. And I believe you can copy and paste with Notepad T. That worked. Um, no, it's a sad moment and a good moment because we know something's coming. Now, for me, okay, so Dr. Specimen, since you, one of the things that you mentioned, it doesn't seem like you're thinking anything's good's gonna come up for. Can I get something? What is going to be good? I want to hear you say something that you think is gonna be worthy, because I haven't heard you say anything worthy right now for this mob. Right now, I pretty much just heard you say, "Hey, I downloaded something just for the fact I do this." That's it. Nothing else. Not because I like it. Not because I'm gonna be using it. Not gonna do anything because I does this. Is that what it is?
That's the only reason I could think of. I'm going to be honest.
I ain't
The
gonna
only
lie. I did
honestly
that sometimes. I can't even lie.
only
I've done that. I've done
the
that. So
the only reason why I even bothered to get all this set up was just because of FOMO. You
yeah.
know, I didn't really think that this was going to be that interesting until the FOMO kicked in. But even then, I'm still just kind of like, I mean, at the end of the day, that sounded horrible. Um,
Nah, it
at
sounds
the
like something hurt.
at the end of the day, I kind of tossed my Xbox across the room. Um, at the end of the day, like the Xbox is still secure in general. And again, what we're relying on here is Windows exploits, essentially. So
True.
keep in mind that anything that works on this is going to be something that could theoretically also be executed on Windows. And
Agree.
so I'm kind of just like, I'm thinking to myself, what is the likelihood that a Windows exploit could evolve into something like this, where
I
you take a
think that's why
secure.
they patched Windows first, though. Like they went straight for Windows first.
Oh
That's
yeah,
the
they
number
knew
one
their
thing.
priorities,
That's the
but
priority. Yeah.
at the end of the day, I just I just think it's going to take a fuck ton of time before anything interesting comes from this, and even then, I don't know what is going to be
All right. So
interesting.
let's go. Let's do that. What would be interesting to you?
Linux.
Okay. One, Linux. But if we get Linux, that's everything, man. Come on. Like that's like a cheat code. You know what I mean? That's like a whole lot. You get Linux, you get a lot. But Linux, okay, I'm with you. Linux.
There is three main pillars of console modding:
All right. Linux.
piracy, Linux,
I was gonna
and
say.
homebrew.
I agree.
Piracy,
Linux
Linux,
is
and
always
homebrew.
on there. Yeah.
So here's the thing: you can run homebrew just fine through dev mode, and because of that, yeah, you got to pay 20
I
bucks.
was
But
gonna say, can you run all homebrew well through dev mode?
I mean, you
I've
don't
been
get all
hearing
the
some
power of the
people.
system,
I was gonna say, yeah,
but
you don't get all the power to the
but
system and some other
but
thing.
think
Okay,
about it.
there we go.
What's the likelihood you can run RetroArch? RetroArch has a package that you can run through dev mode.
Yeah, they
So
do.
that includes not just, old consoles, but also I believe like
Yeah,
Doom. I think you can run Doom through RetroArch. You can run Cave Story through
yeah, you
RetroArch.
can run a lot.
There's certain like indie games that have RetroArch ports.
Yeah,
So
John Five, what up?
when you think about it that way, that is a lot of the mainstream homebrew developers, as individuals, but as like a collective mindset. That is a lot of what they want already, and you just have to pay $20 and you get it all. So when you look at the at having a reason to mod a console, you would have to find a developer that either really, really wants Linux, which okay, I don't know, Fail Overflow maybe, but they really focus on Nintendo shit. Um,
How long did it
or
take for the Sony scene to develop for PlayStation 4? Because you had the 9.0 firmware.
I have no idea.
See,
I,
yeah,
I, I
okay.
wouldn't be able to touch
I haven't
that.
been I haven't been on too much on the Sony scene either. And that's why I asked. I just kind of jumped in when it all was there.
I mean,
You
hey,
know.
you look at the PS5. That took what, 3 years ish for stuff to
Yeah.
really start ramping up. So I mean, that's about normal. Actually, I think
Now,
that actually might be even a little bit quicker.
let me ask you this. Now, on the Xbox 360, you could run USB, or you could mod game saves, right? And I've done this, right? I played online with, I think it was Dead Rising 2, and I've had cheats, and I played online, and you could mod game saves, and there were apps that you could use for USB drives. Is could we see something? I'm just want to get something out of from what I'm getting out of you, man. It sounds like I just wasted my time. Like I just went through all this. I got Vermin. Now I ain't gonna lie, Vermintide 2 a good game now, so I ain't even mad at that, right? But and yeah, and also plus mods. You right, PlayStation just got that 11.0 mod as well. Shout out to PlayStation. They kind of
I'm
moving.
thinking that this
Yeah.
is what we're going to be looking forward to. Basic game mods, cheats,
Why they gotta be
home
basic game mod? Why can't you just say game mods?
because I don't think ROM hacks are going to be a thing anytime soon. I
Okay.
feel like I feel like if you're going to
Basic.
do a full scale ROM hack,
Just
that's
call them.
going to involve stuff going a little bit too deep that something like this wouldn't be
Then
able
we'll
to
call
sustain.
those super hacks. Why can't you call those super hacks and just call super game mods? So yo, I know he does. And what's so funny, I like messing with you too, man, because I already know that. You are being a realist, but I have, I'm trying. I'm trying to
I also
have.
might just have way too much faith in Microsoft for what it's worth.
Yeah, and know what? I don't doubt you on that because Microsoft consistency has proven, right? So I ain't even mad at that. Like their consistency has proven. So, but still, with this, everybody jumped on it so fast. It would be so. What would be a bigger downfall? People never seeing an unlock switch, or nothing coming from this.
Ooh,
Like
I
yo,
love that question. Well, okay. By people, does that include you and me and
that
some
ain't,
of the other people? Because
damn,
because
that's a
and
tough
and
one.
and I can drop this now because now we brought this up.
Yeah, yeah,
We've been People have been giving addresses out. Let me make that clear to
yep.
everybody. We've been giving addresses out that we've been asked for our addresses. For my address, Nick hasn't had to have been asked for because I guess they
I
have his
received
entire
from
fucking
yeah,
docs back there or some shit. I don't know,
yeah.
but they got my address, so they're going to be sending that off. Um, Allegedly. I mean, look, I don't think they would go as far to ask for our address. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they're going to send us anthrax packages, but I doubt it.
I believe them now. So that's just kind of crazy. Even if I believe them, the way
So,
they've been saying, I believe. 'Em. So
so to the extent that we're going to be getting one, you and me, Nick, and apparently 58 other people. I mean, that's something coming from this at the very least. Now, if they somehow do all this shit and then
they don't.
finally reach the point of selling to regular people and they just fucking don't deliver, I mean, good lord, call that a long con. But but I'm going to be honest. If I was a betting man, I had to place my bets on the unlock switch or the Xbox hack being more disappointing. To me, I'd be putting on the Xbox hack because at least the unlock switch, because if you want to say as a collective, then it gets a little more dicey because I feel like people somehow
Yeah, I can
saw
hear
that
you
the
there.
unlock switch, because they've been perceiving themselves as different from the MIG switch and the other cards,
Yeah,
that there's
yeah,
probably an unfortunately high amount of people that are like, oh, so this will have homebrew, so this will have
yeah,
X, Y, and Z, when that's not the case. But that's because of misinformation. If we take out people who are victims, I'll say, of misinformation, and you look at just what are the facts we have, and will people's expectations still be uh, under delivered upon? If you have the correct expectations of the unlock switch, you'll know it's just a card to throw your own personal backups on, and it is a little bit nicer to use than the mix switch.
I
If
agree.
you have your expectations set, what would be reasonable for, hey, a new kernel exploit is out that anyone can use for a new console, which is, oh, sick, so lots of homebrew will be coming in the next year. I might be able to play game backups and back up my
Yeah,
own games. I could even run Linux. That those are the three things people think of.
yeah,
And I just I'm I almost wonder if it's at all possible for any of those to come, with
yeah,
how secure the hardware is, and with, realistically, even with a kernel exploit, how still secure Windows is from regular people. Because think about it, the kind of fucking groups you need to throw together to get actual Windows hacks going
you gotta get
aren't
the
they're
real
insane.
hackers, man. You gotta get the.
But open source, developers and cybersecurity
You got
experts
the
trying to
people
do
who
this kind
worked
of
who
shit.
worked at Microsoft. You got to get
Yeah,
some of them.
if you think about it, the people who do this kind of stuff, they do work for a living. They work for a living. They're doing other
They
shit with
do
their
work, man.
lives, and this is a side job for a lot of these people. Whereas the people that are doing it to make money off of exploits, to even do hacks and, like, get ransomware on people's systems and shit, that's their day job. That's how they make
Yeah,
their money. So they actually have an incentive to be nut jobs and find crazy shit in Windows.
yeah.
So, I mean, I'm totally going to offend the open source community with this, because maybe I'm heavily underestimating them. But I mean, I'm not even saying, oh, you guys aren't capable. I'm just saying I think it's realistic to not. Here's how I'm framing it in my own head, because I'm saying words, but the framework in my head that is generating these words is, I think it would be completely unreasonable to assume of these people that they can just fucking completely bust open Windows in the span of a few months and allow for anything to happen from a secure environment.
I call
Unlike
it. I call it.
Nintendo's operating system, which had a really, really unfortunate hardware flaws
Yeah,
that
that's
allowed
bad. I ain't gonna lie. That's crazy.
top down
That's
access,
crazy.
and Sony, which runs FreeBSD, which is open source,
Yeah,
so you
so we
can look
all
through
right.
and find shit. And also the fact that Sony just doesn't seem to have the best security department. The interview in North Korea.
Yeah, that's and that is such a hilarious movie, man. By the way, and look, yes, plus mods, we definitely be doing a review on it. And yeah, hope it's going to have Linux. And he ain't lying about those things he said, because Linux is always something you need to have
God
running
damn
on
it.
it. You need piracy, you need homebrew. Those are the things. Now, for me, a big thing, and I've said it. Really, I'm a guy that loves to play mods, cheats, or different things in single player games because I don't have enough time to play. Like right now, I haven't beat Cyberpunk still. What is that? Starfield. There's so many different games that I could think of that with Starfield. I don't know how that's going, but nonetheless, so many games I could think of that I would love to run cheats on. That full fledged cheats. That was my hope. So it seems like with Vermintide 2, which I did run by the way, I should be fine. Okay, I believe I should be. Now, let me ask you this. Let's say somebody did everything and they had Vermintide 2, they clicked it, right? And they got the license for it. But let's say they deleted it off their system. Do you still have a license for it if you re download it?
No,
Yo, man.
I think it
Why?
takes the license with it, and you got to redownload the license.
Yo, why do they do that?
Be-
What the
thi-
what the
Think
fuck,
about
man?
it. Microsoft has not had a single piracy problem on the Xbox One or Xbox Series consoles. it just works. They came up with a system and
I
it just
agree. They
fucking
take the
works.
license too, yeah, but still, that's so. Cause then you right. I'm just trying to help folks out. Anybody coming up with any solutions, man? Just say, even game save mods would be nice. See, same thing. And I'm man, hold up. Matter of fact, plus mods. Let me talk about that. I'm the type of dude that give me Elden Ring, all everything, weapons leveled up, hell, everything. Just give it all to me. Game save, boom, and I can jump up in there and start playing and go up into the world. And that's it. That's all I'm asking for, man. If I can get that, I'm cool. And by the way, do you think piracy will come? This is gonna be the last one before we get ready out. Do you think piracy will come from this?
Hmm.
I think so.
I
I think guaranteed.
so here's the thing. The only reason why I would even think it would be possible with piracy is because I have seen Universal Windows platform apps cracked on PC. Now, will that transfer over to Xbox? Shut your fucking mouth, Kyle. Shut your goddamn mouth.
Kyle, what up, man? What's going on, my dude, man? See, but someone would need to bypass license checks, and that would be
Well,
the
but
main
here's the
thing.
thing, though. Here's the thing, though. Could, if this goes far enough, could we get some kind of light custom firmware, or could
There you go.
because here's the
There
other
you
way.
go. There you
Um,
go.
I so here's my thing. The problem with
Guys.
the problem with the Xbox is that unlike a universal Windows platform app on PC, the app isn't checking itself if it's legitimate. The Xbox's operating system is checking if the app is legitimate. So you don't really crack the app, you crack the Xbox. And the likelihood that there's any data you could get off your Xbox that you could put into some patcher program to license the game, I would say is slim to none.
I will agree with that,
So
man.
you would have to
I agree with that.
somehow get a custom firmware that would disable license checks. That would be the only way you'd be pirating. Now
There
here's the
you
thing.
go. Now you talking my speed, man. Come on, let's
But
go. This
but
is what
here's
we need.
but here's the problem with that too though. Again, as far as I'm aware, it's looking like you're going to maybe need that game installed in order to
Okay. Yeah, Vermintide 2.
in order because what I don't understand, and truly this is me not understanding. This isn't like a me going like, oh, why are they doing it this way?
Yeah.
Is the way I've heard it described to me is that the game script app can access a certain amount of resources, but not all of them. Whereas if you have Vermintide 2, you can. This is my speculation that I guess something with GameScript you'd be able to input into Vermintide 2, and then through Vermintide 2 you now have access to all the system resources. My question though is, if a custom firmware is at all possible, why would you need one over the other? I mean, if it's an
I
exploit,
agree.
it's an exploit. I don't know why system resources would matter on that, especially if you're just concerned about bypassing license checks. Which is why my thinking is if they're doing it this way, where you have to have one exploit from one method to go to a completely different method just to get your system resources, I don't think a custom firmware is even in question.
No, I'm with you on that one. I'm totally with you on that. And you look, custom firmware, we might be far both. One thing I like to hear is
Because think about it, think
I'm
about it.
liking what
It's
what you're
custom
saying now.
Windows. Again,
It's a little
custom,
bit for,
and,
and that's exactly what it is. You're right, because custom firmware, but it's a custom Windows. I mean, but
which
we
which
still
I
call
keep
it.
saying it. I'm honestly really hoping someone comments like you said Windows 50 times, but keep in mind that actually the Windows part of this has nothing to do with this because of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah,
But it I, I I get it. Windows, Linux purists will be like, "Oh, come on, dude, Windows is dog shit. There's like a billion exploits with it." Okay, then why did it take this long? Why
nah,
why
it's.
couldn't why couldn't people have just been told on day one to
I agree.
keep their console on the lowest firmware because Windows is just so insecure that any old schmuck could run across 20 kernel exploits and be able to mod the system on day 5 or whatever.
I agree. I
There's
rock
a,
with Microsoft, man. I know the security. I got stock in Microsoft,
and
so
and I get it. I get it. Windows is not as secure as Linux, but honestly, it's sort of an indirect security through obscurity because of the fact that Linux just has less users. You
And
know,
Kyle's a genius. I don't know how they would get through the sandboxing. That I do not know.
well, as far as I'm aware, that's how Universal Windows Platform, Denuvo, VM Protect, a lot of these DRMs work. They use sandboxing. Now, obviously, Universal Windows Platform is a little bit different because
Those
it gets a direct operating system tie-in to
thank
do
you.
it, and I think it uses Hyper-V. So if you found a Hyper-V exploit, maybe that would make a lot of this more. Because that's my thinking is that if they found a Hyper-V, oh, you know what? Okay, this is totally
There
my
you go.
speculation.
See?
But
There
I'm
we
wondering
go.
if that's what these games that they're talking about you'd need is there's somehow that you can say mod the save file and it does some weird thing that lets you bypass Hyper-V. But again, the problem with that is there's a lot of businesses and a lot of really important corporations and even individuals that use Hyper-V VMs.
And
If
now
you
we
release an
talking.
exploit for that, that is a much
Now we
bigger issue than Xbox. You are talking about you're going to be making businesses shit their pants, and for what it's worth,
ain't
I'm
nobody taking that heat.
and let's take it to a complete extreme. Now, I think this is truly an extreme. I mean, will this happen? Probably not. But I almost
Nah.
wonder: is it possible if somebody were to release a Hyper-V exploit to the public, through the completely correct and legitimate means, right? But even if they were just to release it at all, what's to stop a business from going, you've put me at risk, I'm going to sue you now because you've taken this super secure platform and made a public exploit available for your stupid little console modding, and now I could potentially be losing millions of dollars. So just because you did this, I'm going to sue you. Now, again, extreme, and would this actually happen? No, I feel like that would get thrown out immediately because that's just not how this works. But I don't know. I've never heard of a Hyper-V exploit getting a public, a big public release. But that's what it would take for this to go anywhere. So again, the scope of what needs to be broken for this shit to work is it has very far-reaching consequences, and
It does.
quite frankly, I wonder if a lot of the reason why this took so long was just because people were scared to release this shit because of how powerful it is.
Agreed. Agreed. Like
And
right now, you're saying everything. I totally
and
agree.
and I've talked about this before too, but it's just crazy to think about. We actually have to do this now because now this is actually a thing, and now we actually really do need to talk about. Okay, so this is happening. We're actually going to be having Xbox One slash Series mods. So who's going to crack Hyper V? Who's going to custom fucking firmware Windows or slash the Xbox OS? I mean, that is those are serious words.
Yo, those are big words, man. Those are huge words. Now, look, Kyle, there's definitely main passing on
Well, no,
Hyper
not in the
V.
Lewis group for sure, and I highly
Yeah,
doubt that there'd be any Lewis group coming out that'll bypass Hyper-V. I don't think that's
yeah.
the
I don't
point,
think
though. I
Hyper
think
V
I
getting
think what
bypassed at
people are,
all.
I think what people will be able to do though is maybe the Lewis group could somehow get some sort of root access that could allow you to just change a game's files, and then when you run the game, you then
Get
can.
yeah, something. I can see what you mean. Yo, well, let me ask this: how was the Lego Indiana Jones exploit work? Because it's been so long since the Wii. But the Lego Indiana Jones exploit, didn't you have to have a specific save file,
Yes, I
and
think
then you
that
had to
was just
have
a.
yeah,
I think that was
okay, I
just a,
remember
and I'm gonna say quote unquote because this isn't simple, but for the context we're talking about,
talking about yeah,
it's a simple buffer overflow
yeah,
exploit because the Wii didn't really have any sandboxing.
yeah.
Um, versus the Xbox, which uses fucking Hyper V, which is
You're right.
a
I agree. I
billion
don't
leagues.
know how you get past the sandbox. Like I agree when he said that. That's like man, I don't know. You
So
see, because
okay, here's an interesting thought. What if you got a custom dashboard? I'll use Kyle's language to get rid of Hyper-V entirely, like disable Hyper-V.
yeah, and you don't use Hyper V. Everything, yeah. There you go. There you go. I'm with that. Okay, I'm with that. That's a lot better. Okay. I like that a lot better. I don't know. Windows does
Well,
have a lot of ways
but-
to get admin, but I can see any of them being stripped in a version of hell yeah.
and
I'm with you on that. Hell
in
yeah, they're
in
stripping that shit in
API,
Xbox.
the thing is though, those exploits, I believe, mainly target um, VirtualBox and VMware, which can use Hyper-V, I believe, but don't always. And as far as I'm aware, are less robust um, than Hyper-V. So, and because what they're targeting is security researchers trying to research a virus in a virtual machine. Um, and the other thing too, right, is, and I guess that's another issue, right, is that somebody who gets a Hyper-V exploit, I'd be shocked if Microsoft pays any less than $10,000 for an exploit like that. And that
Easily.
probably includes some sort of secrecy to the exploit, which means,
Nobody hears about it. Nobody knows, and it's gone.
yep, who's just gonna give that out for free?
That's
I mean,
crazy.
God, the fact that this got out for free is a miracle.
That's true. And it got out, and we all jumped on it right away. Now, me, my dog, I know I'm gonna have to go, man. I got to get up and work in the morning. You know, I'm tripping. I'll be up till like 1 in the morning talking about this. You know what I'm saying? If you want to keep going, you can keep going. You know what I mean? I don't know. You sound like you got about 3, 4 more hours. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I know I gotta. I'm gonna have to wrap it up. You know, man, my dog. We didn't actually went over a lot. I like this. But anything else you got to talk? You want to take it on? What you want, man? What you got? You got. I
Man, I'm
wish
gonna be.
Kyle was up in there. You and Kyle could just take the show. Y'all can just wrap it up. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, for what it's worth, though, I think we basically hit on everything, and especially because at the end of the day, there's nothing else to look at right now. We're just gonna have to wait. I got my Xbox on the firmware it needs to be. I got it kicked offline. We just gotta wait, and shit'll come eventually. But I'm just gonna have to wait and see if anything interesting happens, or maybe nothing will come of this, and we'll just get some cool fucking Tetris clones or something. And hey, guys, look, you don't have to pay $20 for this now. But meanwhile, you gimped your Xbox.
Yeah, you ain't lying. Look at Matrix with the Matrix. Yeah, it's the tell Kyle. It's 1:31. Yo, and see, that's what I'm saying. It's getting late. So, yo, but other than that, man, my dog, Dr. Specimen, we got and a lot of people don't know I've been on other platforms and posting all types of joints, man. So if anybody else, just type Nick Moses 05 anywhere. My man Dr. Specimen got his own channel. He got a Twitter. He got man, you got a couple things, man. All right. Everybody go follow that man Twitter. Okay. I need everybody to follow his Twitter. All right. We want his Twitter as high as
That
possible.
TEAM team TWIIZERS.
There we go. We need everybody following that Twitter, man. We need your Twitter to be, your Twitter is going to be what the YouTube is here. There we go. That's how we're going to do it. Your Twitter's going to be the mass, bam. You know what I'm saying? All the connects, everybody. Are you good with Gary?
Oh God, I got 52 followers right now. Hey, be sick if I could have 100 in a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
Although some of those are bots, but
And he said, I have an old Xbox. I would have done this too, but it has Wi-Fi issues and would have been hard to get it all done. But what about the Raspberry Pi thing I heard about? Oh man. And we actually Arctic Cat, you're gonna see if you go back earlier in the video, in the live, you'll see my man Dr. Specimen actually gave us a damn good demonstration.
can I just bring up something completely out of left field?
Hell yeah, let's do it.
So apparently, a VR chat let off 30% of their staff.
Hold on. Massive VR. You mean the VR chat? The people live their lives in VR chat. VR chat.
The people who have literally gotten married through a VR
VR
chat.
chat. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Damn, that's crazy. Is it money? Are they not profiting?
Well, I'm just gonna take this random this random apply on the Twitter because this seems like it's a somewhat plausible answer. After reading the email linked in the reply, it sounds like around 2021 they saw a massive spike in traffic due to the COVID situation and hired a bunch of people thinking it would be necessary. Unfortunately, like with other online spaces, that growth didn't stay consistent, and probably there's a lot of fall off because people were going back to real life
Yep.
interactions.
I agree. I mean, that's why I said it was money. That makes sense. Especially the VR definitely hit a peak and it went down, but it's still wonderful, man. I
Think
got
about it.
Quest, man.
Quest 2 came out, great price, perfect timing. Now look at that. Meta's not making as much money with their VR shit because guess what? People bought it just because they were like, well, I guess this is the way we can talk to people during the pandemic, and people are kind of starting to realize that okay, that was good temporarily, but living our entire lives forever like this, that's a little fucking dystopia. Not really down for that. And hey, shout out to Shane Cockburn, probably in Melbourne, Australia. I don't know. Maybe that guy's in fucking Seoul right now. I don't know. That guy likes to travel.
Yo, yeah, Shane be everywhere, man. Shane, what's going on? My dog, dab me up. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up, man. Appreciate everybody, everybody tune in, man. Like I said, follow my man Twitter. He already said it. Go check it back if you didn't hear. Like, subscribe, man. NickMoses05.com. We're gonna have more merch. But go up there and support, and yeah. Other than that, anything you got?
Well, that's all I got.
All right. Other than that, we out.